Who's feeling triggered right now? I know I am. And obviously for my own personal reasons. However, the astrology that talks to the skies at the moment right now, and it's translating onto the earthly plane. A lot of us are feeling triggered right now, and that has to do with Mars squaring Pluto, and it also has to do with Mars being conjunct the South Node. However, what I want to talk about is also the polyvagal theory. So let's bring it out of the ethers and let's bring it down to the physical body and how that relates to the physical body. This is a chart of the polyvagal theory, which discusses trauma responses in people. Now, every person can have trauma. It can be a certain one-time event, like a PTSD thing, or it can be long-term or chronic, like CPTSD. Think of like a car accident as being a really impactful, traumatic one-time event, whereas childhood trauma or relationship abuse or even workplace abuse, religious abuse, these all things that occur over a long time are going to be considered more of the CTPSD, right? Here we talk about nervous system dysregulation. And you typically want to be in this middle section here. Well, not typically, but this is the goal, right? You want to be in the safe space, you're resilient, and you're in your window of tolerance. And then we can see on both sides, we have up here at the top, we have hypoarousal, which is going to look like your fight or flight. And then we have down here another form of dysregulation, which is, I believe, and a lot of other theorists talk about this, the initial stages of trauma responses are going to be your fight or flight, get myself out of here, whether that's I'm running away or I have to physically fight or I'm arguing, whatever it is that relates to as a fight or flight for you. And then as it progresses over time and your nervous system breaks down more and more, you get into the freeze and the fawn. The freeze, I believe, is really the last stage where you are on couch lock, you give up, as it says right here, I give up. And then fawning comes before the freeze. And fawning is people pleasing, it's doing whatever needs to be done, going against your own personal boundaries to keep the peace. And typically you can see this in abusive relationships where you have to do what you have to do in order to survive. And you've kind of given up that fight internally to get out of that circumstance, right? And so if we relate it back to Mars, Mars is action. Mars is your fighting. Mars is your aggression. And the South Node is showing a decrease in your life. And depending on your modality of theories for astrology, that could be Western, where it talks about like your fate, and sometimes Vedic does as well too, where it's like your past karma, your past life. And then there is traditional, where it talks about a decrease. And so we will see a lot of being physically drained right now and feeling very triggered by things that happen in our lives. And that is because we have that South Node being conjunct our Mars, as well as the square to Pluto. Pluto is the timeline changer. It's your power placement in your chart. And it's very deep. It deals with all of those things that are hidden and brought up to the surface. It's also the higher octave of Mars. So it's aggressive, right? Think about in the tarot, it is the Tower deck. It is that lightning bolt striking. Uranus could be that as well, but it is aggressive, right? It comes through and it pulls it up super aggressively, and boom, we're triggered into that. And so as we talk about the polyvagal theory and how we deal with trauma responses, and if you've been going on a healing journey, where are you at on that stage? A lot of us are going to feel like our normal resilience, our normal window of tolerance is being tested by every little thing. We're talking about even inanimate objects where your shirt gets caught on a drawer or a doorknob, and you're going to have a breakdown, right? Your emotional tolerance level is really not there. My dogs are going crazy. Sorry about that. Then you could find yourself up here initially being dysregulated, where you're going to fight, you're going to be angry, and depending on where that Mars is transiting, which house it is, and is being activated, you might just physically get into an altercation, be possibly destructive even, or use your words in a way that's very destructive as well too. Or you could find yourself past the point because your resilience level's already been tested and you're already in this state and you're down here in the hypo and you shut down and you give up. And then you're left in a state of freeze, and all you have to do is process these emotions. Not really process your emotions, but you're stuck in your head. And then you start to beat yourself up, and it's a really bad place to be in. So that being said, let's talk about a couple ways that I love myself on my journey to help reset my vagus nerve and to calm my nervous system out of dysregulation and at least support it so that I'm getting out of the freeze response up into the fight or flight. So I'm skimming the surface now, of that dysregulation and closer to being in the window of tolerance, resilience, self-regulation. So let's jump into 2 quick and simple, easy ways that you can help support your body and your mood as we're dealing with these planetary things, or just in everyday life and you're on your healing journey and you're ready to have a little bit more support that you can access at any time, okay? I do want to give you a little diagram for the 2 exercises that I'm going to teach you and show you why I'm choosing one of them. But this orange-ish yellow nerve right here is your vagus nerve. And it helps to control and regulate your rest, your digest, your nervous system. It is the major nerve, and it runs from here all the way through to the end of your feet. It is throughout your body, connected to all of your major organs, and helps to regulate your nervous system. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about the 2 things that I love to do. Number 1 is I love to do what's called havening, where you can just take your hands and gently stroke them down your arms. You can bilateral tap for a little bit too before you start havening. But as you're doing it, I like to close my eyes, take in a big breath. You may start to feel chills and relaxation through your whole body. Next, if you are like myself and you have very sensitive and easier access to where your vagus nerve connects up here, one way to tell if that is true is you, when you're like get an ear itch or you're even using a Q-tip, not to go in your ear, but you are cleaning around it, it feels really good. That's an indicator that you have a sensitive vagus nerve connection up here. And this is a really great way and place for you to help regulate and also strengthen that vagus nerve. So really simple. If you are going to do this, make sure to take your earrings out first, okay? All right, now that I have my earrings out, what I like to do is I'll take off my glasses just so that I have a little access. And then take your ears and just gently pull down on them. You're probably gonna yawn. That's great. You want to yawn. That's showing that your body is resting and relaxing. You want the yawn, okay? So, oh my gosh. Keep doing that. Do it for a couple minutes or however long you like to until you get to the yawn. You want to get to the yawn. If it doesn't happen right away, you might need to keep doing a couple more rounds throughout the day. Once I'm done doing that, I like to gently just rub my hands down my neck, imagining that my body is centering and that I'm grounding as I'm doing this. And then if you wanted to move into the havening again from there, you can do that as well. Some of you may feel like you want to take a nap after this. If you can, fantastic. Please do. Let your body rest, relax. If you have to jump back into work or whatever it is that you're doing, just make sure to take a few minutes to ground yourself and don't rush into it right away. Thank you for joining me on this little trip to reset our vagus nerve and to learn a little bit about polyvagal theory as well as the astrology that's going on. I hope you all are doing well. If you'd like to learn more, give me a follow and leave me a comment if you have any questions.